What is up, guys? So today we're going to talk about what it's like looking down the barrel of like years in prison. What it's like. It can be like mentally draining, it can be physically draining. If you're going to court, you've been remanded to prison, you're on remand waiting, you're looking at like 5, 6 years, and then you get to court, you finally get there, and then you get 6 years in prison. What goes through your head, and it can be a trying time. And it can change it forever. It can mentally scar you for the rest of your life if you're not built for prison, like Lucy Connolly. Lately, I've been watching that, and it is absolutely disgusting what they did with her. I mean, yeah, she put out a miserable tweet talking about. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get banned. We all know what she put. It was a tweet, but what you have to remember, it was in a time when the people were frustrated. It was the Southport guy, Rudabongo, whatever his name is. We had all the grape cases of migrants coming over here, and it seemed like every day you put the TV on and it's another migrant doing something what they shouldn't be doing. So everybody was frustrated. The government wasn't doing anything. Starmer were just going on about, we're going to smash the gang. And he don't actually do it. So people were frustrated, and she's put out a text or tweet, whatever it is, and she got in trouble for it, rightly so. But 30 months in prison. 30 months. That's outrageous. Like, she's never been in trouble before in her life, and then you just take her off the street and throw her in prison for 30 months. Just think about that, 30 months. And if you want to know what it's like in prison, just take your TV, go and sit in your bathroom, put your TV in the bathroom for an hour, and then imagine doing that for 30 months. Because that's what she's had to go through. And yeah, she should have got into trouble for it. Maybe a warning. Maybe she should have got banned from Twitter. But 30 freaking months, and it's just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So that's why I'm going to talk about it anyway, because I've been thinking about it, about when I got years in prison. I deserved it. I was built for prison because I was used to it at this point. But just to take, it just blows my mind. But anyway, now when I got caught, what I used to do, everybody knows I was an addict. So I was out in the street, stealing, trying to get money any way possible. And I started off doing shoplifting. But it was like every week I would go out, and it was easy, quick money. I'd fly in, grab all the stuff, run out, and I'd get away. But then, like a month down the road, when I finally do get caught, then they'll have had me for another 5 or 6 shopliftings for when I was on camera. Because you don't care if you're on camera, if you're a smackhead just running around trying to get money. You don't care if you're on camera, you just need the money now, quick, and you'll worry about that later. And so I would get caught, they would lock me up, and they would do the same thing every time. Somebody would just randomly come to my door, open the door, and they'd say, you come up to the desk, mate. The desk sergeant wants to see you. And that's when I know, okay, I'm getting more charges now. So I'd be fucking gutted. I'd go up there and say, we're further arresting you for 5 more shopliftings. And then they would keep me in court. They would keep me in the cells for the next available court. And then I would go up into court, and then I'd get remanded and get like 8 months in prison because I'd be up for like 5 shopliftings. So I was getting caught all the time. I was fed up with it. I'm like, I've got to do something different. So then I started trying to sell drugs. And fucking hell, it really is not worth it. It's a nightmare, especially if you're selling white and dark. You've got people ringing you constantly. I would have people ringing me. I'll be like, 10 minutes, I'll meet you at so-and-so. And then somebody else would ring, all right, I'll meet you there. All right, I'll meet you there. Because you don't want to meet everyone in the same place, because that's when they phone the police and say, there's loads of people congregating. So you have to go to different places, and you get mixed up. You don't know what everybody wants, so it's a nightmare. And then you have to worry about the police kicking your door in. You have to worry about taxmen kicking your door in. You have to worry about people coming short, people trying to nick stuff. Oh God, it's an absolute nightmare. That was one of my rock bottoms. I ended up getting busted by the police. I was really lucky because I'd just sold everything. I was laid in bed. I had a little bit of gear for myself, what I'd smoked, and I was just ready to go to sleep. And the door came in, and boom, 2 seconds, I was straight up, straight in. But like I said, I'd just sold everything, so I was really lucky. And then that's when I was thinking, I can't keep doing this. And then, like, they just fixed the door, and then it got kicked in again by taxmen. I got battered, got my fucking eyes closed, my mouth all busted up. And I thought, right, that's it, I'm done. So I just handed everything back. I left everything in the house and just went. So yeah, I tried drug dealing, that didn't work. And so I thought, right, I'll try burgling, but I don't do houses. I've never done houses. I do commercial burglaries. And what I used to do was, I used to go around like office buildings, and I would like walk through fire exits, or try and sneak through reception. But as soon as they see me, they'd be like, "What are you doing? Can I help you?" And they'd throw me out. So what I started doing was, right, I've got to try and look the part. So I would put like a shirt and tie on, slick my scruffy hair back, get an old scruffy dusty briefcase, and that was my way in. I was the world's scruffiest businessman, and it was amazing. It worked. I could actually get into places that I was no chance of me getting in before, just because I was dressed the part. And they'd like look up, they'd see the shirt and tie, and then they'd be like, and then they'd carry on. Unless they like proper look at me, they wouldn't know that I didn't work there. And I ended up getting in some amazing places, unbelievable, in some like VIP bits that you wouldn't even know were there. I remember there's a place in Bowlby where I'm from, and there was this place. It was, I still don't know what it is to this day, but I got in there and I ended up with a fob for the door, so I could just walk in whenever I want. And I got round, there was a gym area, we had like a spa, it was beautiful, there was free food everywhere. I was like, Jesus. And then I went upstairs, there was a massive place with big TV screens all around. It was fucking hell. And I ended up taking a load of projectors off the roof, just unscrew them, put them in my bag, and I used to get like £300-400 for them. But it was the same with the shoplifting, I'd get in, I'd steal, and by the way, I'm not condoning this behaviour. I was a real scumbag because I needed money for drugs. I didn't care about anything really, I just needed the money. But it was the same with the shoplifting. I'd get away with it, and then I'd get caught like 6 months later, and then they'd hit me with like 5 or 6 burglaries where I'd been caught on camera. So it was the same as the shoplifting, but I didn't get caught as often, and I ended up getting longer in prison. You get more money, but you get longer in prison. Shoplifting, you only get like 10-20 quid a hit, unless you do it properly. But when you go commercial burgling, you can get like laptops and computer screens. You can get way more money, but you end up getting longer in time. You don't get as much as what you get for like house burglaries. Back then, if you did a house burglary, you got 6 years straight away. If you did it twice, you got like 12 years. And I think it was like a 3-strike rule back then. But commercial burglaries, as long as it was less than something like 20 grand or something, you only got months. Like most, you'd get 18 months. But with me, I was up for loads. And I remember the one I got caught for, I was up for like 5 or 6 commercial burglaries, and I was looking at 6 years because it was, the worst one was on a hospital. Again, I'm not condoning this, but I used to go into the hospital because it was easy. You could just walk in back then. It wasn't like it is now. Now there's that many foreigners about. There's that many people, immigration. You can't even get into the hospital with an appointment. But back then, half of it was empty, so you could just walk onto wards, and just have a look around, see if there's out to steal. And they used to keep all the medicine, all the Valium, all the wobbly eggs and all that sort of stuff. They'd just keep it in a cupboard, like a wooden cupboard with a little lock on it, where you could just bust open with a screwdriver. I'm sure now it'll be more secure, but back then it was easy. They used to have a trolley, like a wooden trolley, what they'd walk around and get the meds out. You could just pop it open, it was easy. And I remember there was a keypad on the door, which I used to be able to get through them pretty easy. And I got in, and I remember once I got chased through there though. I did get caught a few times in there. And I'd gone in, I can't remember, I got into an office or something and up in a drawer, and there was some money in a drawer, so I took that. And I was walking out, and somebody saw me, one of the doctors, said, "Oh yeah, what are you doing?" Because it was a restricted area. I was like, fucking, so I started running up, and he come running behind me, and I could hear his change in his pockets and keys jingling as he was chasing me. But he couldn't keep up, so he just shouted, "You bastard," reached in his pocket and just threw a handful of fucking pound coins at me. And it was all flying all around me. I was like, "Fucking nice one, mate." So I grabbed all the pound coins. and shot up. And I remember thinking, as if I get out of this hospital, the cops are going to be everywhere. It's on top to death, because your mind's just racing. Obviously, there's not going to be no police there because he's not had a chance to phone the police for the police to get the call, come in and be there waiting for me. But I thought they'd all be there waiting for me. So I finally fucking ran out of the thing and there's nobody there. I was like, fucking up. And then I was walking through intake thinking, man, they're going to be anywhere. They're going to be all over. I'm going to be caught. And there's no one there. So I just walked away. But anyway, I've got into this room and popped one of the cupboards and it was just full of medication. So I just stole all the Valium, all the medication, everything really what I thought was any good. I just chucked it all in my bag. There was a money tin there. Oh man, I had right score when I got in there once. I don't know what the reasoning was, but I got into a place, it was night time and the door was open. I just walked in and there was an office place and I thought, well, I'll have a look, pulled the drawers open and there was envelopes full of money. There must have been 20 envelopes and they were all packed with money. I was like, fucking hell, I couldn't believe it. And to this day, I don't know what the money was for. But yeah, I've got into this place and I took all the medication, there was a cash tin as well, so I've opened it, took all the money. But I've left all my fingerprints everywhere because, I was an addict, I didn't think it through. I didn't think, I better put gloves on, because most of the time they don't even check for prints. But because it was a hospital and it was like medication, for some reason that made it really bad. So they did all the dusting for prints. They had witnesses. It's amazing how many witnesses come forward and just straight up lie. Because nobody saw me, but there's people saying they did. And listen, if I've done it, you've got me, I'll admit it, I'll do my time. That's it, done. So that was one of the charges, and I remember they took that one pretty serious. So they says you're looking at like 6 years, and I remember I was in the prison. I was giving it a large, because young and daft, and we was talking about me going to court. I'm saying, yeah, I'm looking at 6 years here, and I said, yeah, if a good judge gives me 7 years, I'm just gonna go, yeah, fuck the police and all this. And I remember the old boy said to me, he says, listen. He says, if you want to mess around, right? He says, if you want to piss about, you want to be a gangster, do that in the prison. But when you get to court, you want to be a politician, be a politician in the courtroom and a gangster in the prison. Because that's the whole thing, is you trying to get out, innit? You're no good to anybody while you're locked up. It's just a waste of time. So you've got to do whatever you can to get yourself out of prison. Mind your language, be polite, show remorse, write the judge a letter. And I was like, fuck that, I'm not writing the judge a letter. I'm not fucking, that's a little bitch move. I said, I'm not doing that. He says, well, do you want to get out or not? And I thought about it. I thought, well, what have I got to lose, I'll write a judge to the letter, apologise. And that's what I did. And I sat up, and I'm really good at writing. I'm really good with words. That's my thing. Words are my weapons, I guess you could say. So I've constructed this letter, and I was just being honest. I was just being truthful. I put it together well, saying, look, I just need a chance. I've been struggling with drug addiction. I've never really had a proper chance before. If you let me prove myself, I apologise. I feel remorseful. Just went all out on this letter, and just saying, just give me a chance. And I remember, I'll never forget it. It was in Crown Court. It's all serious in Crown Court, like magistrates. I've been in there fucking hundreds of times, but Crown Court is when you're looking at, I don't know if it's 12, I think it was 12 months and less you went to the magistrates, but if you're looking at over 12 months, you have to go to the Crown Court. And back then, if you got 6 years, you had to do a parole sentence, which was 2/3. But if you got under 6 years, you had to do half. So I was trying to get under the parole sentence. And I remember I give this letter to my barrister. He had all the wig on and, the big robe. And I said, I've got a letter for the judge, and he's gone away, he's read it, he's come back, he says, fuck it out. He says, this is probably the best thing you've got going for you, is this letter. He took it up, he's give it to the judge. And the judge said to me, he says, you know what, he says, I've read your letter. Obviously, it's not word for word. But he says, look, I've read your letter. He says, very well put, type thing, very well constructed, beautifully illustrated. But one thing I don't agree with is I don't agree with that you've never had a chance. He said, but I'm going to give you a chance. He says, you've persuaded me with this letter. He says, I'm going to give you the rope to hang yourself with. That's what he said. And he gave me, I was looking at 6 years, and he gave me a DTTO, they used to call them, drug treatment and testing order. And that means they let you out on probation. You have to put weekly samples in to show that you're not using drugs. You have to stay out of trouble. And if you manage to do that for like 2 years or whatever, and then you can move on. And I was like fucking buzzing, you know. I got to do DTTO. I got out from court, and it was all the best intentions. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to get in trouble no more, you know. Anyone who's been to prison will tell you, you've always got the best intentions. And then I got out, and within probably like a month, I'd relapsed. Fucking breached my order, put loads of dirty tests in. I think you could like put one test in, and they'd say, well, this is dirty, you know, this is your warning. Then if you do another, then you're back to prison. So I breached it pretty quick, but he gave me the chance. I just wasn't ready then. And that's the thing, if you're not ready to get clean, then you won't. So I've gone away, and I ended up, I'm thinking, fuck me, I'm going to get 6 years now. But I ended up getting 4 years, which was underneath the parole thing. And I ended up doing most of it in Doncatraz because they messed up my paperwork. They had me down as judge's remand, but I wasn't. I'd been sentenced. So I fucking did like probably 18 months in Doncatraz. But yeah, all things go through your head. You know, while you're on remand, you're in limbo. You don't know how long you're going to get. You can't make any plans. You can't really do anything. It just messes with your head. And then when you do get sentenced, I remember when I got 4 years, I was sat in my cell. And it's weird what you think about. I was thinking about everything what happens in 1 year. You know, like a full football season, a full summer, a full winter. And, you know, everything what happens in a year. And then I was thinking, I've got to do that again. And then I've got to do it again. And it just seemed like I was never, ever going to get out. And you start thinking about, well, you know, maybe if I just end myself, I don't have to go through all this. But I never really actually thought I was going to. It was just like an option, I guess you could say. And prison is just a roller coaster ride. That first night, you're just so lonely. You just think about, I always thought about my dog for some reason. I couldn't stop thinking about my dog. I started thinking about water. I'm not going to see water. I'm not going to see money. I'm not going to be able to eat a McDonald's or whatever. And the best way to do it is to just blank the outside world, right? This is my world now. These four walls, these people that are in here. And you know, you have to live by a certain code in prison. You know, you can't snitch on anyone. Mind your business. I don't like anyone make fun. Well, not make funny. Don't like anyone take the piss. If somebody puts it on you, then you have to at least show willing. You're going to get tested in prison. Everybody does. And yeah, after you've been there a while, it's really strange because while you're doing the sentence, it's like, fucking hell, this is dragging like fuck. It's never going to end, you know, it's fucking years. I've got to sit in this cell for years. And then, like, 6 months in, you'll look at the calendar, you'll be like, fucking hell, 6 months already, that's flown by. It drags while you're doing it, but then once you've done it, it seems like it's flown by. It's weird. But yeah, there's a lot of stress. You have to get your money together. You have to get a job. And then once you get settled, like when I was in Doncatraz, I'd just get settled on the wing. I'd be working on the server, you know, I'd know everybody on the wing. And then they'd just come to your cell one day and say, right, you're moving, you're going to 1A. I'm like, what? 1A? Why? Well, this wing's getting changed into a detox wing now, so we have to move everyone. So then you have to go through it all again. You have to get settled, you have to get a job, you have to make new friends. And then I'll come to your cell, come on, you're going on to 2D. Why? Oh, we're changing this wing now. You know, so you're constantly moving, and then they'll come to your cell one day and say, right, you're going to Hatfield, or you're going to Ramby. Or I remember when I got sent to Ramby, the fucking screw, he was delighted. He come to my cell, he was grinning like a Cheshire cat. He was like, and it's like, what did he call Padmeister? He used to call me Padmeister. He said, hey, get up, Padmeister, you're getting shipped out. I was like, what? Because I'd been in Doncatraz for ages. And he says, yep, you're getting shipped out. You're going to Ramby. Big grin on his face. and I remember there was a woman in there. I didn't really get on with her. She was a fucking horrible little cunt. And I remember as I was going, I said to her, I can't remember her name, say it was Julie. I said, well, Julie, I'd love to say it's been a pleasure, but it hasn't. You fucking horrible cunt. And then just walked out, and everybody was laughing. So yeah, I ended up going to Ramby, and then I got kicked out of Ramby, lost my head a little bit, and ended up in Hull. And finished off in Hull, and it wasn't too bad at all. It was weird the first time I went. It was mental. I ended up getting myself fucking firebombed from some muppets upstairs because there was no windows on the cells back then. It was just bars. And yeah, it was a crazy time. And then this time when I went, the second time, it was just so calm. It was weird. It was like everybody was just spaced out. You know, hardly anybody was talking. There was hardly any noise. It was just very weird and subdued, but I mean, it was all right for me. I just sat back, just doing my time. I only had a few weeks left, so yeah, buzzing. But anyway, that's what it's like when you get years in prison. You know, it starts messing with your head. So I can't imagine what that Lucy Connolly was going through. Imagine never been in trouble, and then you're thrown into a crazy world of fucking inmates, and you have to adjust to all that. But she's out now, so it'd be interesting to see what she says. But anyway, that's the video for today. If you like this video, press the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Munch 2, YouTube, Munch 2.